This is Nightly Business Report with Bill Griffith and Sue Herrera.
November to remember. Despite today's pullback, the bulls were in control and the market had its best month since June. Shop till you drop. Whether online or in stores, the crucial holiday shopping season is underway and there's a lot at stake. Stocking stuffers. Our market monitor is in the holiday spirit with a list of stocks that he says could grow double digits over the next year. Those stories and much more tonight on Nightly Business Report for this Friday, November 29th. And we do bid you a good evening, everybody, and welcome. Sue is off tonight. Well, stocks snapped their four-day win streak today on this holiday-shortened trading session, but there's still much to be thankful for. The major averages boosted strong monthly gains. It was their best in 5 months, and it came despite today's pullback. The Dow fell about 112 points. We're to 28,051 now. The Nasdaq was down 39. The S&P slipped by 12. And for the month, the indexes saw gains of 3% or more. Dominic Chu starts us off tonight with a look at November's big gains.
The records kept rolling in for the month of November, a month that did see historically high levels for the Dow, the S&P 500, and NASDAQ, as traders and investors decided to accentuate the positive with regard to market headlines. Now, on balance, there has been some incrementally positive news on the trade war between the U.S. and China, but no firm deal or so-called Phase 1 agreement has been signed yet. Put that together with economic data around the world that may be showing signs of a turnaround, and you get a general bullish tone benefiting companies and industries that are more geared towards improving economic prospects, or so-called cyclical stocks. Within the S&P 500, the best performing sectors of the month were technology and financials. Meanwhile, the worst performing sectors were those seen as more defensive or less economically sensitive. Real estate and utilities were the biggest laggards in November, with the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Stocks like Disney led the way higher, helped along by some enthusiasm surrounding its recently launched video streaming service, Disney+. Apple also an upside standout as the key holiday shopping season boosts demand for the company's latest iPhone 11 models and AirPod Pro earbuds. The end of the year is shaping up to be a lot different this time around than it was last year, when markets were worried about rising interest rates and the risks on the global and geopolitical front. Those risks are still around this time, but history may be on the side of the bulls. According to Bespoke Investment Group, when the S&P 500 gains this big through Thanksgiving each year, it finishes with even more gains 77% of the time. We'll see if history repeats this time around. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Dominic Chu at the New York Stock Exchange.
Today, of course, is Black Friday, the unofficial start of the holiday shopping season, a time that's critical not just for the retail sector, but for the overall economy, since the consumer has been driving growth for a number of years now. And so far, early estimates point to a solid start. According to analysis from Adobe, Thanksgiving online retail sales reached a record $4.4 billion. That's a nearly 19% increase over last year, and nearly half of those sales were made on mobile devices. But even though more people are shopping online, many still do venture to the malls for those doorbuster deals and Black Friday blowouts. Courtney Reagan went to the Woodbridge Center Mall in Woodbridge, New Jersey to check it out for herself. Courtney, so what kind of traffic did you see today?
You know, Bill, I have to say traffic has picked up throughout the day at the Woodbridge Mall here in New Jersey. Now that we have these early doorbuster sales on Thanksgiving Day and these Black Friday preview sales even earlier in the year, sometimes in October, you see sales pulled forward a little bit. So the cadence of the shopping is a little different now than it used to be. So you don't see that early morning rush on Black Friday anymore because the shoppers came out Thursday night, they go back, they rest, then they come back out. So it picks up throughout the day. 115 million Americans are expected to shop, though, on Black Friday, either in-store, online, or a combination of the two, because you know that a lot of people are using their devices as they're shopping around in the mall. 165 million are expected to shop between Thanksgiving and Cyber Monday. That's about on par with last year.
You mentioned the early deals. Walmart had that preview in October. We've got everybody shopping online right now. It's a question we've been asking for the last few years now. Does Black Friday still matter?
You know, Black Friday does really still matter. If you look even at some data from last year, from 2018, 1010 data says that Black Friday can account for as much as 6 to 7% of a retailer's quarterly sales. A retailer like American Eagle or Best Buy. For comparison, a regular day in the quarter is worth about 1%. That means Black Friday is worth almost an entire week of sales for some retailers. So it does still really matter, and it also still really matters to a lot of shoppers.
Around like 10 o'clock, they picked me up and we went to like Walmart and stores like that, and we took like a 2-hour nap and then came here.
So I woke up at 4 in the morning today trying to shop and get my girl stuff and me a little PS4. Saved a lot of money, saved around like $200 or $300. It was definitely worth it.
We love Black Friday, but this year we decided we're going to go all out. We had Thanksgiving dinner, then we packed everything up and we got a hotel up near this mall on purpose so that we could be here at 6 a.m. and we did it.
That's a dedicated shopper. So you're hearing from the shoppers. What about the retailers? Anybody giving any updates yet?
Yeah, a couple updates. I spoke with Kohl's CEO Michelle Goss. She said gaming was a really strong category. Things like the Nintendo Switch, the PS4, some games actually selling out. She also called out things like vacuums. Those are really popular. Levi's also pretty popular, especially for Kohl's shoppers online so far. But a lot of shopping left to do for this whole weekend, Bill.
That is for sure. Courtney Reagan doing the channel checks at Woodbridge Center Mall. Thanks, Courtney. See ya. So this is also the time of year when package delivery is put to the test. We've been reporting extensively about how retailers are investing in services to get your items to the doorstep that much faster. And that's true for online stores as well, and for more traditional big box retailers. Frank Holland has the story in Piscataway, New Jersey for us.
Big box retailer Best Buy hopes this big box inside one of its new warehouses will help to attract new customers.
The customer expects fast delivery, and they don't want to pay for it.
This facility, called a Metro E-commerce Center, or a MEC, gives Best Buy the ability to offer free next-day delivery to 50 million people. MECs have these high-tech, high-density warehouses within a warehouse, stocked with bestsellers and Black Friday deals. The MECs are positioned near New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago.
We've built out a great network.
Chief Supply Chain Officer Rob Bass says customers near those cities get guaranteed free next-day delivery on orders over $35 placed before 8 p.m.
Really what we're after is allowing you to, go to work, enjoy your day, hear about that cool thing somebody bought at Best Buy, get home from work, sit down, relax, go online, and still have the chance to buy that and get it tomorrow. And we really believe it's not just about saying your next day, but allowing you to shop late into today and then still get it tomorrow.
And Best Buy boasts that the MEC allows the company to give customers the latest order time for next day of all the major retailers. Prime members get it on orders before noon local time, but they pay a $119 annual Prime member fee. Walmart also has a $35 minimum, and orders must be placed by 3 p.m. local time. 3 p.m. is also the cutoff for next day for Best Buy outside of its MEC areas.
Best Buy has really become the model of a traditional retailer that successfully reconfigured its business model to compete well online.
Oppenheimer retail analyst Brian Nagel says consumers benefit from the faster shipping and earlier start for Black Friday sales. Best Buy reported earnings this week and saw profits beat expectations. Nagel says the company is benefiting from upgrades to its online business.
The concern really was that Best Buy would prove the next victim of Amazon. Okay, just like the bookstores basically. And under the guidance of new management, Best Buy really reconfigured its business model. They got much more serious about their own online efforts.
Best Buy also offers same-day shipping in 42 cities. The company says it sees faster shipping options as a way to attract customers, and its Geek Squad service and price match as a way to keep them. For Nightly Business Report, Frank Holland in Piscataway, New Jersey.
And as the retail landscape changes, many stores shift their focus away from traditional shopping. Some, for example, don't even have any inventory. Here's Julia Borston.
There's no question that Amazon and the rise of online retail have transformed the way consumers shop. So now retailers, new and old, are shaking up the in-store experience. Nordstrom local stores don't have any inventory, but they're helping the retail giant grow sales, speed up returns, and increase loyalty. With the ability to pick up online orders, consult with stylists and in-store tailors, and get a manicure or rent a tuxedo. There are 3 of these Nordstrom local locations in Los Angeles and 2 in New York.
For New Yorkers, having a location that's on their way home from work, right by their train station, that's really convenient. It's hard to get stuff delivered to a lot of places around here. Returns is another big opportunity. We know that we're going to take a lot of returns. We're in the clothing business.
Nordstrom says customers who use Nordstrom local stores return products 8 days faster on average, improving the chance of resales. And they spend 2.5 times more.
You can get services done here, you can get gifts wrapped here, and what it does is really speed up the process in terms of returning goods, which helps a lot with inventory. It also enables you to tap into a whole market's network of inventory.
As we've seen with Nordstrom local stores like this one, and with brick and mortar locations for digital first retailers like Glossier, we're seeing retailers take advantage of the fact that real estate prices have dropped while the cost of acquiring consumers online has risen. Glossier's store epitomizes what's called the clicks to bricks trend. The beauty brand, which launched on Instagram in 2014, now has about 2.5 million Instagram followers. It has permanent stores in Los Angeles and New York, and this year it hosted 5 pop-up retail experiences.
The future of physical stores is quite different because they're highly experiential. You may or may not buy an item in that store, and it's really a point of contact and acquisition for the brand at large.
Glossier's customers are free marketing. They tag Glossier in more than 20,000 Instagram posts every month, and that does not include Instagram stories. And some of that content comes from photos taken at Glossier's stores, which the company says has a halo effect, driving more people to engage with the brand and shop. Glossier, with more than $100 million in revenue last year, is one of a number of digital-first retailers benefiting from a physical retail presence, along with Warby Parker, Casper, Allbirds, and Bonobos. For Nightly Business Report, I'm Julia Borston in West Hollywood, California.
And now for what has become a Black Friday tradition for us here on NBR, we turn to our friend Charlie O'Shea to talk more about the holiday shopping season coming up and who some of the winners and losers may be. Of course, he's senior retail analyst at Moody's. Mr. O'Shea, welcome back.
Good to be here, Mr. Griffiths. How are you?
Well, I'm good. You are among the most optimistic of the Wall Street analysts for this year's shopping season, forecasting growth of between 4 and 4.5% this year. Very strong. Why?
I just think the big guys are going to nail it. I think that they're in better position now, and by big I mean the Walmarts, Targets, Costco's, Best Buys, Amazons of the world. They're in the best position that I've seen them in years. They've got the ability to spend, their strategies are spot on, they're adapting, they're testing things, they're evolving in this new environment. Amazon moving inventory close to the customer to take care of the last mile a little better than they have in the past. And the other guys just ramping up their online businesses and using the stores as weapons and offense and assets.
Right.
And that's something that we thought would happen, and it's really coming through in spades right now.
But we all know that not all retailers are created equal. This year, 2019, we'll see the greatest number of store closures in history. Are there retailers right now that you're watching carefully to see if this is going to be a make or break season for them?
There are several, and we put out and we keep an eye on our CAA and below list. And the last time I looked at it, I think there were 16 or 17 names on that list, and you can almost hit any of them and be concerned about where they are. I mean, some of the larger ones on the list that it's not make or break, but you've got Penny there, you've got J. Crew there, you've got Neiman down there. And they typically do fairly well during the holiday, so they should be able to get to the other side. Then you've got some of the smaller niche guys, and you're right. It's the bifurcation now is wider than it's ever been.
Right.
It's Grand Canyon-esque. You've got, again, the guys I talked about at the top, and I would add the off-price guys and the dollar stores to that mix. And then you've really got everybody else. And everybody else, there's some strong names in there, but for the most part, they don't have the resources to compete with the other guys at the top. And the other guys have the ability to promote, to offer free shipping, to expand their warehouses, to deal with fulfillment, keep the stores fresh. And that's a tough thing to fight.
By the way, you called it a CWA list. What is that?
It's the rating. It's the CAA is the lowest end of our rating scale, and it's companies that we consider to be distressed. That's in the vernacular of Wall Street. That's deep speculative grade, deep high yield, way down the food chain.
Got it.
The investment grade starts at Baa3, and then there's BAs and Bs below that. So we're way beyond we're well into high yield territory.
Very good. Charlie, I'll let you get back to the malls. Thanks.
Thanks, Bill.
Charlie O'Shea with Moody's. And still ahead, working up an appetite. The biggest shopping days of the year. Are they big for restaurants as well? We'll find out. Today's Black Friday. Tomorrow is Small Business Saturday. And according to a new survey from CNBC and SurveyMonkey, 39% of Americans do plan to commemorate it by shopping at a mom and pop store. But that's actually down from a year ago. 22% have no plans to shop small. 37% aren't sure at this point. Just 8% say they are excited to shop at a small business tomorrow, compared to 19% who are excited about Black Friday and 12% who look forward to Cyber Monday. But analysts do point out they expect record sales tomorrow and for the overall holiday shopping season, as you heard. But do shopping and eating go hand in hand? After all, going to store after store can work up an appetite. So we asked our Kate Rogers to see if restaurants benefit during one of the biggest shopping days of the year.
When people shop, they don't always stop to eat. The NPD Group analyzed receipts from a panel of 150,000 customers nationwide and found that in 2018, the big traditional shopping days were not the highest restaurant volume days. In fact, Black Friday was the 14th best restaurant day in the holiday period.
Black Friday is such a big day for the brick and mortar shopping world that it's reasonable to assume that with all of that hustle and bustle and people out shopping, that they'll naturally pop into a restaurant. And I'm certain that restaurants that are co-located in shopping malls or very close to big retail destinations probably have a pretty good day on Friday, but it's just not a big day for the restaurant industry as a whole.
Many of the top 5 biggest restaurant days of the season fall before Thanksgiving. The holidays themselves tend to be slower for the sector.
The worst restaurant day of the entire holiday period is Christmas Day. The second is Thanksgiving Day. And that's because those holidays are all about preparing and eating meals at home. The vast majority of us are going to eat Thanksgiving dinner either in our home or at someone else's home. And guess what happens the day after Thanksgiving? It's leftovers time.
But when it comes to gifting, restaurants stand to benefit.
What is the number one intangible or experiential gift that they want to give? Well, it's a food and beverage experience.
While restaurants may not get a big boost on Black Friday, the NPD Group says that beverage and coffee retailers like Starbucks and Dunkin' will see foot traffic increase because you do need coffee to fuel up while you're snagging all those deals. For your Nightly Business Report, I'm Kate Rogers in Jersey City, New Jersey.
Tech data goes to Apollo, and that's where we begin tonight's market focus. The technology distributor is being bought by private equity firm Apollo Global in a deal worth about $6 billion. Now, the two had struck a deal earlier in the month for a smaller amount, but another higher offer came in from an unnamed bidder, which CNBC learned exclusively was Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. Apollo then topped that bid. Tech Data shares rose more than 12% today to $144.89. Apollo Global fell a fraction to $43.80, and Berkshire Hathaway was down a fraction as well today. VF Corp is reportedly one of the top bidders for Italian shoe brand Golden Goose. Reuters says that the apparel retailer will be competing against private equity firms Primera and Advent for the luxury sneaker maker. VF Corp fell a fraction today to $88.54. And Chevron is looking to put 2 Nigerian offshore oil and gas blocks up for sale. The 2 blocks produce more than 6,000 barrels of oil per day. Chevron has been selling various assets around the world to focus on its U.S.-based production growth. Shares were down a fraction today to 117.13. Time now for our weekly market monitor. He has 3 stocks that he says will make good holiday stocking stuffers. He sees them growing double digits over the next year or so. We welcome back tonight Ross Gerber, the CEO and president of Gerber Kawasaki. Ross, always good to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Good to see you too, Bill. Always an honor to be on this show.
And we start with Disney, which has had a big year anyway, big gains at the box office and on Wall Street, but you still think we see double-digit gains next year as well. Why?
Well, this is just the beginning for Disney. They've shown that already that they've been successful with launching Disney Plus, but as they continue with this bundle with Hulu and ESPN, we see them continuing to take a huge amount of the mind share and the viewing time of viewers through their streaming app. So they're in a great shape, but also with the end of Star Wars coming in December, this movie might be another one of the biggest movies of all time. So between that and merchandise sales being goosed by Frozen 2, just love the company going into the next year.
All right. Electronic Arts, it's had a tough year last year. It's been on the comeback trail this year, but overall, video games are starting to see a pickup again this year. Why do you like this one?
Well, we like it a lot because Fortnite dominated last year, and it really kind of hurt these developers, and so the valuations came down, like in stocks like EA. And then EA came out with a surprise hit this year, Apex Legends, which is just a great game and is doing very well. But also the release of Star Wars has been a really good game. People love it. So we expect some upside with EA because really low expectations built into the company and some really great games coming out this Christmas. So we expect a lot of playing on the video game front this Christmas.
Finally, a small cap, so there might be some volatility here. A name not widely known, Funko. It's a toy maker. Had a tough couple months here lately, but you like this stock. Why?
That's why we love it, because they had a secondary offering from their private equity owners that needed to cash out, for private equity always has to do these things that don't make a lot of sense just to appease the private equity shareholders. But by doing that, they knocked the stock down. It's trading at a ridiculously low valuation because so many funds just don't even look at small caps anymore, and they're not prominent in the big indexes. So, here a stock like Funko, which makes these pop dolls that are super popular, but they just opened their first retail store in Hollywood, and it's doing amazingly well. Amazing. So a lot of people don't know this company. It's a great toy company, growing like crazy, and at a really reasonable valuation. That's why we like it.
Ross Gerber with Gerber Kawasaki. Again, thanks, Ross. Have a good weekend.
Hey, good to see you, Bill. Have a great Thanksgiving weekend.
Thank you. And coming up, there's alternative milk, alternative meat, and now a new kind of alternative protein, which you just might bug out about. Now that Thanksgiving is over, we think it's safe to show you this story. It's not about turkey or even the fake turkeys called tofurkeys, but it's about what could be the food of the future. Just be warned, though, insects abound. Jane Wells is in Oakland, California for us tonight.
You are looking at a gateway bug, an insect with so much potential to feed the planet using minimal resources. It seems a no-brainer as a protein source. But would you eat it?
This one is our peanut butter and blueberry.
Much of the world eats insects, from crickets to mealworms, scorpions, black ants, grasshoppers. But Americans generally say, ew. Well, don't judge.
No, that's really good.
A growing group of entrepreneurs may prove that bugs are the future.
To get the same amount of protein from insects as you do from regular animals uses so much less water, and it's good protein. Plus there's fiber because you're eating the whole thing.
Chef Joseph Yoon's mission is to make insects delicious and social media worthy to millennials with dishes like cricket quinoa hash.
Even if 10% of Americans were to incorporate edible insects once a week, even that would have a tremendous impact on our environment.
It is nutty. Ann Carlson has found an easier path by creating insect-based dog food called Jiminy's, with sales in the millions growing 70% a year. The sustainability message appeals to millennials who may not eat the bugs themselves, but have no problem giving it to their dogs.
One of the key reasons I got into this is my daughter, she's a millennial, and she said she might not want to have children because she's worried about what the world is going to be like.
Demand is currently outstripping supply. The largest cricket farm in North America is Intimo near Toronto. But Monica Martinez is raising her own bugs for her snack food business, Don Buguito in Oakland.
80% of the biomass of the planet is, made out of insects. Doesn't make any sense that we're not tapping into that.
Barclays estimates the insect protein market could grow 10 times to $8 billion by 2030. Nestle's is interested, Tyson is watching, and it's possible that someday you will actually ask for a bug in your food.
I want some of that dish.
For Nightly Business Report, Jane Wells, Oakland, California.
Finally tonight, attention now turns to the holidays and putting up the Christmas tree, which it turns out is getting more expensive to do. According to the National Christmas Tree Association, the average price of a tree is now $76, more than double what it was in 2008, mostly due to a reduction in supply due to the closing of tree farms, which has led to that rise in price. Before we go, a final look at the day on this Black Friday on Wall Street. The Dow fell 112 points. NASDAQ was down 39. S&P slipped by 12. For the month, indexes were all sharply higher. That is Nightly Business Report for tonight. I'm Bill Griffith. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll see you again on Monday.